Well, what a pleasure it is to welcome Brad HOGG to the Line and Length podcast. It's episode 3, and Brad is all the way in Perth, Australia. Brad, what time is it over there at the moment?
Look, we're in the morning at the moment, so it's about 10 o'clock, and I'll tell you what, we're both lucky people because we're in prime real estate, Perth and Barbados. Great beaches, great weather, and I love my surfing, so both give me that as well.
I didn't know Brad HOGG was a big surfer, but I'll take your word for it.
I'm not a big surfer. I'm only on the small waves, mate, not the big waves.
All right, look, Brad, let's jump right into it. You know, this week we've seen Shakib Al Hassan being banned for 2 years, a 1 year suspended sentence. Now, it's interesting that I have you on the show this week because not only are you a left-arm spinner, but you play in all of those leagues that Shakib Al Hassan would have played in. You know him quite well. You played against him. Do you think it was a very innocent act by Shakib that he did not report that he was approached?
Yes, I think it's an innocent act, definitely, because no money's changed hands or anything like that. But he's done the wrong thing. He's came out, admitted that he should have gone to the anti-corruption unit and informed them that he had been approached or he had messages on his phone. And all players know that they've got to do that. That's in the code of the Anti-Corruption Act. And he didn't do it. So he's taken it on the chin and moved on. But you've got to remember, it was a year or so ago that he got approached. So it's taken a time, and it was the anti-corruption unit that came to him, not him going to the anti-corruption unit. We look at a couple of incidences a couple of years ago with other international stars, and they were probably 2 years after the act had been done, but they actually went up to the anti-corruption unit and informed them of what had actually happened. So it's a big issue for Shakib. He's got the 1 year sentence, or he's got a 2 year sentence, of which one is suspended, and he's back in a year playing cricket. So I'm happy for that. That it's not too long out of the game for him because he's such a class act.
It always seems, or at least 80% of the time, the bookmakers are after Asian players. I remember Marlon Samuels had a 2 year ban for something similar. But for some reason, why are the Asians the ones that are primarily targeted?
Oh, well, South Africa, you put South Africa out of the Asian contingent, wouldn't you, Barry?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, well, you know, we've seen a lot of South Africans get done, or a couple of South Africans get done with the anti-corruption over the last couple of years around as well in their local domestic competition. So it's just not the Asian contingent. But if you look at it with Australia and England, the amount of money that the players get from their boards on standard contracts far outweighs that of what Asian teams get or Asian players get. So there's probably the main reason why Asian players get approached more than the Western players. Just simply that there's so much more for an Asian player to gain on a financial sense than what a Western player has. So the Asian player probably doesn't have as much to lose as the Western player as well.
Now, Brad, let me ask you directly. Have you ever been approached by a match fixer or someone who's into spot fixing while playing in any of these leagues?
No, I haven't, but obviously we're talking about, I've been involved with a couple of teams where a couple of players have been arrested and suspended from cricket because of spot fixing allegations. And I do remember a time over in the IPL where we were sitting around a bar as a team, as a group, but we also had family members over there, and I was speaking with two fathers of our particular squad there, and we were in deep conversation. I remember a man coming up and speaking to me or trying to get my attention, and I said, look, I'm in deep conversation here, can you please move on? I haven't got time to speak to you. And he kept pestering me, and I just said, mate, look, you can't. And I was quite frank with him. I was even quite rude with him to tell him to move on and continue the conversation. So I think that was around the time that the Rajasthan players had been arrested, or just before they'd got arrested for their match-fixing scandal during that particular time, 5-6 years ago. So that's probably the closest where I felt that around me that could be in that realm of things.
What do these guys get out of it? I mean, is there a lot of money to be made where they're concerned? Because they seem to pay the cricketers quite a bit of money.
Yeah, well, it's quite. From what I can remember with the scandal during that particular time over in the IPL, for what the players did, I didn't think that they got paid, or from what accounts were there. I was surprised with it, but what they get out of it is they bet on it and they make a lot of money from the bet. So they're trying to get these vulnerable young players to just do something out in the middle, or give them information about a team before the toss of the coin, so that they can make a bet on that particular situation, and that's where they make the money. It's as simple as that. So young players out there, if you feel uncomfortable with the person that's actually talking to you and you think it's going to go down the wrong path, and he's going to, or you think that he's in a position where he's going to try and force you into such a state that he wants you to do something or give you some information about a team, report it to the anti-corruption officer straight away, but also just have the courage to say, no, I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to continue this conversation, and I don't want a relationship with you, because you've got to stand up, because opportunities to play cricket only come once in a while.
Brad, when you look at how this is going to play out now for the Bangladesh team, how much was Shakib missed? He's the most identifiable player in the Bangladesh team over the last decade, and he might very well miss the World Cup next year.
Yeah, look, he's the best all-rounder going around in world cricket at the moment. Well, not for the next year now, since he's been banned. But the thing is, you've got to move on, and I think the youngsters that are going to get that opportunity are going to stand up, and that energy that you get as a youngster, knowing that there's opportunities there now in that Bangladesh team, they'll be trying to drive it as much as they possibly can to perform and make sure they get their name up in the headlights in front of the selectors, so they have a long, successful international career. So I don't think Bangladesh cricket's going to drop off because of this. The world turns, the world changes. There's always someone new coming through to step up and take that void. And I think Bangladesh cricket has got a lot of depth, and I think in the shorter form of the game, they'll be able to hold themselves here in Australia. I don't think they'll be able to take it out, but they'll be very competitive, and that's what we want in the international game, competitive games.
Now I have you on the podcast. Pakistan are coming to Australia, and they'll be playing in a couple of tests and some ODIs. Do you expect that the match fixers and the spot fixers are going to be hot in Perth and hot in Sydney?
No, I don't. I just think with the Australian anti-corruption side of things over here, I think we've got everything, all bases pretty covered, and it's very stringent with the security around the ground. So it's going to be pretty tough for those particular people to try and get involved here in Australia. And look, I think it's getting tougher each year. I think the ICC are doing a wonderful job. They're trying to put regulations, parameters in place that are more stringent than what we've ever seen before. And as the years go on, it's going to improve. So I think it's going to be tougher for the bookies to make an impact in the future.
Brad Hogg, thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of your morning in Perth.
Thank you very much, mate.
Well, I'm back with my co-host, Dr. KASHIF Ansari, and this issue is not going away. I'm talking about the Shakib Al Hasan issue, and much more we're going to discuss. Dr. Ansari, first of all, from your perspective, from a Pakistani perspective, how do you see this particular issue?
Well, I tell you what, this is one of the saddest things in the history of cricket. The number one all-rounder in the world has been sacked for a couple of years, and we're not going to be able to see him in action. This is one of those cancers, one of those malignant cancers that is basically taking away the lives of thousands and thousands of cricket fans all across the globe. It all started many, many years ago, and I hate to say that, but Pakistani cricketers and Pakistani bookies have been one of those founding members of this issue, along with some Indian folks. And it is not getting any better. To be very honest with you, it is not getting better at all. And the dilemma we face is the fact that they don't leave any remainings or any witnesses or any reasons to go after them. This is the problem we have, and an anti-corruption unit of ICC faces the same issue in every situation, every scenario. It goes back to 1977, 78, from the 79 Pakistan-India series, then Sharjah, all across, over a period of 5, 6, 7 years, when Sharjah Cup and Australasia Cup and Asia Cup was taking place, all of these things were in full swing. And the biggest cricketers of all times in Pakistan and India have been accused, and Sri Lanka have been accused, and some of them have been found guilty. Some of them have left no witnesses or any reasons for them to be sacked or to be punished, and they are still in action. Unfortunately, I have to say that they are still in full action and causing all sorts of problems for the young cricketers and millions of cricket fans all across the globe by doing some things which is really, really hurting the entire game of cricket.
Do you think that it still exists in Pakistan? Are bookies still trying to make approaches? Are bookies still trying to fix games and spot matches to Pakistani players?
Yes, unfortunately, not only Pakistani players. I have a fear, and I hate to say that, but the fact of the matter is that they are approaching most of the cricketers who are playing cricket these days. And in this modern day cricket, the main culprit, the root of the problem is T20 cricket, the league cricket. This is the main problem behind all these bookies getting a new life, I should say. Basically, they are taking these new leagues, the IPLs, the PSLs, the BBLs, all these leagues into consideration and ruining the game of cricket. All these leagues, if you start looking at IPL, look at 2007, look at 2008, listen to Lalit Modi, listen to what Srinivasan was exposed to, listen to his son-in-law. We all know what he did. We all know that he was the owner of India Cement and then what he ended up getting into. We know the brother of Salman Khan, who is a famous actor in India. We know the recent PSL 3 edition, 3 Pakistani cricketers were caught after a sting operation. Most recent Pakistan-Sri Lanka T20 series. This has been questioned by a lot of cricket fans across Pakistan, in fact all across the globe. Because they don't just get into action, these bookies don't get into action just by fixing the match and making the batsman play a wrong shot or bowling a couple of no balls. No, they have their hands all over the game. Just from the get-go, from the pick of the players, the pick of the playing 11th, to the toss, to the pitch conditions, to the bowlers, and then they can buy out few players, and unfortunately, they do it in such a way that you can never go after them. Like, for example, there will be somebody who will be promoted in the batting order who doesn't deserve to be promoted, or somebody who's not given the over to bowl when he was bowling so well, or removing the slips, or getting the field position according to which is totally against the conditions. Those are all tiny little things which these guys play with, and they play with the emotions of millions of fans. And unfortunately, ICC has not been able to nab them. Basically, they just cannot go after them because they don't leave any of those witnesses for us to go after.
It's a very sad situation. I recognize and I remember that the 2010 series was actually a test series, and that's when Pakistan ran into trouble against the English team. How does it work, Dr. Ansari? Tell the public that are listening, how does this spot fixing work? What's the modus operandi for the person who's actually fixing the game? How do they make money? How do they get to cash in on talking to players and fixing players?
All right, so nowadays match fixing has turned into spot fixing, fancy fixing, and stuff like that, those very new terminologies. For example, there is a guy, say somebody is playing in a T20 league, and then this bookie will make a bet and will have people put money on it, saying that the person A is going to be he's going to make less than 10 runs in this particular inning against such and such side. And then people start betting on him, people start putting money, and that person A gets out at the score of 9 or 10, and this way they win the bet, and they share some money which they made through the people betting with that player. Now remember, who are these players? There are players who are top-notch players who have a career in front of them, who has about 4 or 5 years of good cricket to play, and there are a second group of players who are rookies or who are veterans. The soft targets are veterans and rookies. So this is how it works, that, okay, I'm going to make 10 runs. For example, I'm going to be bowling a no ball. Or you know what? If they have a captain or a decision maker of the team on their side, they start from very beginning. That's the side which will play. This is a good fixing point, that this bookie will go out and say, guys, look, I've got captain or I've got the decision maker of the team in my pocket. I will tell you which side is going to play. If you're going to bet $10,000 or $50,000 on me, and the people start giving him money. So then he goes back and keeps 50%, 50%, whatever in his pocket, and share the 40% or 30% with the players. And this is a lot of money we're talking about. I mean, for one game, I was reading through Justice Qayyum report the other day, they have been offered back in early mid-90s $100,000 and $200,000.
Wow.
Just for one game.
Wow.
Exactly. So think about it, that what is the match fees they get? $5,000, $4,000 these days, $5,000 these days? And for a couple of no balls or a couple of extra fielders in the circle when they didn't need it, they can make $100,000. So unfortunately, these leagues are the breeding grounds for these culprits. And then they take this whole thing into the real international test cricket and international one days. Once you are in this mafia, once you are involved with this mafia, there is no way out. It is a mafia, Barry. It's not funny. It's not something which is, oh, this is a small little issue, we can fix it. No, it is not a small issue. You're talking about huge mafias, and the entire. Sometimes I've heard about the nightmares of boards are being involved. You know, some big decision makers in the board are involved. That which player is going to be picked for the test series. Think about it.
Do you think
the guy who's probably not even being considered under normal circumstances ends up playing the test match? How much money the bookie will make on it by knowing somebody in that particular cricket board or selection committee?
Final question.
And these are the things which are happening on everyday basis.
Final question, Dr. Ansari. Do you think that umpires could get involved? Do you think they're involved as well?
No, well, umpires on a different level. Umpires on very different levels. We know what happened in Sharjah just recently in one of those league games. Umpires were totally involved, but that is only one-time thing or maybe less than that, but they can be involved. I don't know much about the umpires, but I know for the fact that players are.
Right, yeah.
You know, and it happens all the time because there's no regulation, Barry. These leagues are being played without being properly monitored. From the team selection to the pitch to this to that, everything is in the hands of bookies. They can buy out these guys left and right. ICC needs to work like an intelligence agency of any big country, like a CIA, like a ISI and stuff like that. They need to have a wing which is a typical intelligence wing, not just anti-corruption unit. That anti-corruption unit is not good anymore. We know that these things are happening on daily basis. It is not even funny. But they have to have an intelligence agency. They should be funding that intelligence agency with big deep pockets and should hire people who are professionals in investigations and keeping an eye on all these cricketers who are playing cricket these days. Each and every cricketer. The most simplest thing, Barry, keep an eye on their bank accounts. Okay? Then they're smart. They're going to put it in their wife's account. They are very smart. They're going to put it in their cousin's account. They're even more smart. They will put it in their relative's account who is not even close, first degree relative.
Yeah, you're so right, Dr. KASHIF Ansari. I want to thank you, our co-host, of course, for episode 3 of this podcast, and also Brad Hogg, who joined us earlier. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Make sure you join me on Twitter at Line Length and continue to subscribe to the Line and Length Cricket Podcast with Barry Wilkinson. Until next week, bye-bye for now.